Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. Very nice introduction. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining me today for a discussion about changing your perspective. So let me just start. Let me share my screen if I can get there. All right. There we go. Okay. So today's discussion is really about changing your perspective. And if we choose to look at our lives through a different lens and from a new perspective, we have the ability to change the direction of our lives and make a positive impact on our sphere of influence. Current world events are becoming very overwhelming, creating economic dynamics that are impacting not just us, but everyone. It's affecting both your necessities as well as your businesses. So how do we approach that? So how many here today are experiencing situations that you had not anticipated? Anyone? Yep, exactly. So do you feel like you have control over anything? Have you made time to stop, take and evaluate your different options and approaches? What steps, if any, are you taking to manage the changing landscape? Or are you, like me, a self-proclaimed control freak who wants to be in charge of everything and understanding that life can be unsettling? All right, so let me share with you a little bit of my background and how I arrived at this new career path. As Steve mentioned, I spent 25 years in the corporate world. And my last role was a director of finance for $1 billion division of an automotive supplier. And it was a great job, but they required 24/7, 80 hours a week. We were supposed to be on at 6 a.m. in the morning to do calls with Asia and Europe, and usually calls with Asia would culminate until 11 o'clock at night. So what did that do for me? It basically broke me. I arrived at a point where I was definitely physically and mentally broken. And so I hit the wall. I quit my job and told everyone I'm retiring. And when people looked at me and said, "You're too young to retire," I said, retirement doesn't mean stopping. It means trying something different. So within 3 weeks of my retirement date, I realized that I did not have a plan for the day after April 30th, 2018. I'd been searching for something to do. And I was thinking, well, my horse was my therapist. What could I do with my partner with my horse to help others? And I stumbled across a program called equine assisted coaching, which is a new coaching modality where you partner with horses to help people. Having no clear idea what that entailed, I jumped in, throwing caution to the wind. Doesn't that what every self-proclaimed control freak do? So this was not a change in perspective. It was control mode without a plan. And as my dad always says, damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead. Looking back, it was the best decision I could have made. The certification program included a 4-day on-site, hands-on training at a farm in Wisconsin. And what I learned about myself during that short period of time has been profound and are lessons that I share with my clients, because I have been where most people have been. And my change in perspective took me from a left brain finance person who shifted gears and ran straight into a right brain, heart-centered business. So my first step was to recognize I was at my what if moments. What if I took a step back and looked at the big picture? What if I stopped focusing on all the reasons why leaping out of the stress bowl was a bad choice and intentionally searched for all the reasons I needed to put my mental and physical well-being first, and to determine if that was okay? Giving myself permission was really hard to change directions. What if I put as much, if not more, effort into changing my perspective as I was digging my heels into the ground, shouting that the more things change, the more they stay the same? My initial lesson was stop allowing the negative what ifs to grind my life and my business to a halt. Shift the dialogue to positive. In life and business, we will experience situations that we have no control, whether we are willing to admit it or not. Acknowledging that we cannot control things opens the door for us to manage and navigate around and through these situations. How many of you realize that control is an illusion? You can choose to either hold on and attempt to control everything, or you can let go and trust that there is a different and better way to go. So as you were dreaming about your business and planning your business and preparing your business plan, how many hours and sleepless nights did you spend trying to identify everything that could go wrong, followed by imagining every solution you would need to implement to combat that challenge? How successful were you? Have you identified everything? How have you navigated it? I'm sure that you found a way to navigate around it without realizing it. Another lesson that I've learned that I'm still trying to master is that worry is a habit that we choose. So let me repeat that. Worry is a habit we choose. Don't let it characterize your life. Who, by worrying about something, has added more minutes or days to your life? So look at this picture here I have on the screen. So when you look at this, do you see a glass half empty or do you see a glass half full? You guys can shout out. Tell me what you see.
Half full.
Okay.
Those teams are always loaded every season.
I like it. You guys are positive today. That's great. All right. So what's interesting is you can have a room full of people and you'll have people say it's half full or it's half empty. It all depends. So what if you change your focus from a negative view of why it won't work to a positive view of why it will work? How do you think that would impact your approach to life and business? It'd be pretty profound. So life and business comes with challenges that will drive perseverance. This perseverance will lead to character development, resulting in confidence in your ability to navigate new challenges. Are you willing to invest in changing your perspective to positively impact your future outcomes? A great example of having a different perspective is this quote by George Carlin. For those of you old enough to remember who George Carlin is, he had a pretty interesting perspective on a lot of different things. So here he says, some people see the glass half full, others see it half empty. I see a glass that's twice as big as it needs to be. Pretty crazy. All right. So let's start by addressing perception. How many of you remember that dress that took the internet by storm about 8 years ago? Some people saw it as blue and black, and some people saw it as white and gold. Pretty interesting that you can look at the same picture and see something different. So let's start by addressing perception. Take a good look at the picture on this slide and tell me, what do you see? Go ahead and tell us out loud.
Old woman and young pretty woman with like a feather.
All right. Do any of you just see the young woman?
I see the beautiful young woman.
I do too. I've seen the old woman before, but not this time.
I
Right.
see a lion.
Yes, the chin.
The old woman is the chin.
The lion.
Hmm.
A lion? Well, now that's a different perception. I hadn't seen that one, so thank you.
Lion
you.
eating. So
Right. So perception is the way we think about or understand someone or something. It's the end result of all the filters that we apply to everything around us, and it relies heavily on outside input to form an opinion. It's influenced by emotion, your past experiences, your feelings, and it can be affected by our perspective. So another key lesson here is we don't see things as they are. We see them as we are. So just so you guys hear that again, this is a key lesson. We don't see things as they are. We see them as we are. So, excuse me. So let's move on to perspective. So perspective is how you see yourself, others, and the world around you. It helps you see the big picture and it provides a broader view of an object or situation as seen from a particular angle, and it is not limited to what you see right in front of you. Perspective allows you to step back and look at how things stand in relation to everything else. It relies heavily on input from your feelings and your thoughts, and it can also change your perception. So I'll give you an example of how I experienced a change in perspective. Last year, I was working with Jason Tracy to move through some self-imposed roadblocks I had when it came to pricing out my coaching services and valuing the services that I offered. For those of you that do not know Jason, I would highly recommend scheduling a trust builder with him. He's an amazing individual and coach. So I'm gonna give a big shout out to Jason. So as we were wrapping up our first meeting, he gave me some homework items to complete for our next meeting. And the first item was I had to list out all the ways that I'm creative. As I've already mentioned, I'm a left brain person. And so I'm thinking, I'm not creative. I told Jason out loud, I'm clearly not creative. I don't paint. I don't write poetry, can't write a book. And he looked at me with a smile on his face and started asking me really good questions, as a coach will do. And I struggled to see any creativity in this brain of mine. And he was patient and he kept asking questions. And at one point I said, well, I guess I can tell a good story about how amazing the healing is that people get when they come out and work with my horses. And slowly the shift began to take place in my mind that creativity is not limited to art that you look at or what you read on pages. It's really about being able to tell stories, building a coaching program, problem solving, finding ways of helping others to see things differently from their current perspective. The light bulb eventually went on, and my perspective about not being creative, unable to make a shift to a right brain focused career, began to fall apart. So, true to form, when I met Jason the following week with my left brain detailed persona, I arrived with 3 typewritten pages of homework, but I had a list of 15 ways where I acknowledged that I was creative. All it took was being open to listening to a coach who carefully guided me and to move beyond my perception of a terminal left brain accountant, to shift the perspective to see a more balanced right brain coach with a heart for helping others. So if Jason's on, thank you very much. I so appreciate him. That was huge for me. There is a Henry Ford quote that I would like to share with you all, and it's, if there is any one secret of success, it lies in the ability to get the other person's point of view and see things from that person's angle as well as from your own. And I think that would be wise for all of us as it pertains to our business as we move forward in this ever-changing landscape that we're working in. Oh, and I also like the quote at the bottom here by Wayne Dwyer. If you believe it will work out, you'll see opportunities. If you believe it won't, you will see obstacles. So recognizing the differences between perception and perspective. So perception is easily changed. Perception of your reality controls your perspective. On the other hand, you've got perspective, which cannot be changed without effort. We really have to put the effort into making the change in our perspectives. And perspective is how we look at the world after reflecting on our perception. So as Oscar Wilde said, the optimist sees a donut, the pessimist sees a hole. So perception and perspective are often confused as concepts are similar yet different. So let's look at a different way of looking at it. So let's look at reacting versus responding. Reacting is an instant and emotional action based upon your current moment, where responding usually occurs after consideration of desired outcome and usually aligns with your core values. So think of your perception, think of reacting as your perception because it's influenced by your thoughts, your feelings, and emotions. And think of responding as a thermostat that ensures your even keel pattern of behavior because it's never spiking or dropping as the temperature moves. So I had a great example I was going to use this morning about reacting versus responding, which entails driving on your way home from work. But I have a much better example. While I was participating with the last session, internet kept going out here at Cowork Brighton. I had decided to not do this from my house because I live out by Brighton State Park, where there is no internet and there is no limited cell services, no cable, nothing. So I use Starlink. And so I thought, well, to be on the safe side, I will do my presentation at Cowork Brighton, which is a wonderful Caerusnet member. And they have beautiful offices. And I was pretty much ensured, guaranteed there would be no internet connection issues. Surprise, today they've got the downtown Brighton connections or construction going on, and they didn't receive a message that internet would be spotty. So my choice was either to react or respond. So my reaction was, it's okay, life happens for a reason, because I'm responding in, give me a great example of how to respond versus react for today's presentation. All right, so wanted just before I move on, I wanted to let you know Steve's going to be putting into the chat. I did a handout for there's 10 areas of how you can change your perspective. Steve's going to put that in the chat for you all as a takeaway. So I don't want you to try and write it all down, because there's a lot of information here, and this way you'll have it to take with you. So
It's in there
so
now.
actions. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Did I just put it in there?
All right, thank you. So there are 10 different ways that you can shift your perspective, and I'm sure there's probably more. The first one is to reframe your thoughts. And how you do that is so instead of telling yourself that you have to do something, shift it from the negative to the positive, where you get to do it. So think of your homework chores. So you have to clean the house. So rather than thinking, I have to clean the house, think, I am grateful I have a house to live in, and so I get to clean my house. So think about it from a real positive perspective, and it will improve your mental health. Another way is to view situations from a different angle. If you're frustrated with someone's actions, try and look at the situation from their perspective, or from their viewpoint. The example I was going to use for reaction versus responding: someone's driving crazy on the road. Don't get frustrated because you know it's a distraction to you. Think about, why are they driving that way? Is it a nervous father who's driving his wife to the hospital who's in labor? Did they just lose their job that day? Or are they in a rush because they're trying to get to their child's play? We don't know. Try and look at situations from a different angle. In today's economic environment, try to anticipate how your customers' needs may change as discretionary income is negatively impacted. Brainstorming ways to see a specific situation differently will help, definitely help. Focus on the moment is really more about embracing where you are right now and ignore your future focused brain. It's hard, but if you take and think, today is a present, the future is not secured, and the past is already taken. Just focus on where you are today. Shift your perspective to one of gratitude and joy. How many of you know that joy is based upon internal feelings and values versus happiness, which is dependent upon external influences which you may not be able to control? It's amazing when you really think about it. If you have that joy in your heart, life is a lot easier to navigate. And then last point on this item, control that which you are able to control and let go of the rest. So the next one is recognize your thinking pattern. Is your self-talk non-judgmental, compassionate, or curious, or even patient with yourself? Is it helpful or unhelpful for yourself? If it's unhelpful, initially or intentionally shift your thinking to seeing solutions, flexibility, and acceptance of the true reality, not your reality, because you're not seeing things as they really are. You're seeing them as you are. And last item on this slide is get curious, become the student, and question everything from a healthy perspective. When we lose some of our curiosity, we begin to embrace our reality as truth rather than what the real reality is. And then ask questions to test. Are you seeing your reality or the current reality? Understand your blind spots. Our blind spots can be visual, cognitive, and based upon learned biases. They sabotage our judgment and lead us to embrace behavior patterns that don't serve us. Self-reflection and mindfulness can be helpful in identifying your blind spots, and also seek out others, such as a coach or a mentor, that can help you identify your blind spots. Burst your comfort bubble. I love this one. This one may make you uncomfortable because it makes you take your blinders off and mix things up. So try an activity you've never tried before. I was just reading about a woman that she's 104 years old, and she wants to make the Guinness World Book of Records as being the oldest person to do a tandem skydive jump. The current record holder is 103. The interesting thing is this woman made her first skydive jump when she was 100. So when you talk about try something new, it's a great example of why you should. And the other thing is refuse to take life so seriously. Learn to laugh more at yourself. It's actually good for you. And then realistic optimism. Positive thinking anchored in realistic optimism is the ability to see situations accurately and deeply believe that the future will be good in spite of what you see your current circumstances as. Conversely, when you find yourself engaging in negative self-talk, which we all do, change your tone of voice to yourself. Make an active effort to change your inner dialogue. Next item is don't be afraid to try new things. Expand your horizon and learn new activities. If you're curious to try goat yoga, go for it. You'll never know the joy of being around baby goats unless you get vulnerable and try it. If goat yoga is not your thing, find something interesting, grab a friend, and make it happen. And the last item on the list here is take care of you. One of the things that I learned working in the automotive industry is mental health days are important because you need it to recharge your batteries. Definitely need it. And it's just a day away. Shut your phone off, shut your computer off, walk away, go take a walk in nature. Be intentional about both your mental and physical health. And just remember, small but simple changes can have a huge impact on your health and outlook. So what I want to do here is just give you some points that have been impactful for me. So the first one is there is a benefit of looking at circumstances through a different lens. We don't see things as they are. We see them as we are. Worry is a habit we choose. Don't let it characterize your life. No matter how much you plan, you cannot control the outcome. I thought coming to Cowork Brighton, I was controlling my internet. Not happening, but that's okay. So far, it's keeping up during my presentation. And the last is happiness depends upon external factors. Joy is within you. So I'd like to wrap up this presentation with a quote that a friend gave to me as I was telling her about this presentation. The man on top of the mountain didn't fall there. So the man on the top of the mountain got there because he faced challenges and persevered, never giving up or saying, I quit. As he embraced each challenge, he refined and strengthened his character, which developed and reinforced his confidence to face the next challenge that would come before him. I am certain the path that he took to the mountain was not straight. It wasn't well-groomed, and it definitely wasn't flat. To navigate the challenges life throws at us, we need to be mindful of two things. We must have a spirit of persistence with a commitment to not give up in the face of a new challenge. Challenges are going to come every day. In fact, some days you'll have more than one. And second, we must get comfortable with the vulnerability to acknowledge that we are not in control and that things are not as we see them. Our view of the world is based upon our past experiences, thoughts, emotions, and feelings. If you're challenged with being unable to shift your perspective and face the road that is laid out before you, seek out a good coach or mentor who will come alongside you to help you see your current reality through a different lens and support you as you navigate your future path. So with that, I will open it up for questions.
But before we do questions, let's put our hands together and, I mean, talk about a vast quantity of material to be covering in such a short amount of time, Penny. My goodness, I think you broke the record.
Sorry.
Great stuff and great comments in the feedback. We do have a quick opportunity for any thoughts, questions. If I always say the person that unmutes and talks first wins. So if you got anything, let's let it for Penny.
I just want to say that the work that I've done with Penny, I've had meetings with her, and she always has the ability to say something to me that is like so profound and mind, not really twisting, but like she said, you're thinking about things in a different way. And it's been extremely helpful for me this last year to get out of some ruts in my brain that I was in. So thank you, Penny.
Thank you, Heather. And I also want to offer up, if anyone's interested in coming out for a session with the horses, I will offer that up at a reduced rate. So it's usually an 1.5-hour session. It's really fun. You come out to the farm, wear your boots, and just embrace the nature.
Go do this. Go do this. I got the honor to take my wife out there last week in it shifts things. Gracie has not stopped talking about it. I had got the chance to do it over several months ago, and it was just killer, but just life-changing. You want to do this.
Thank you, Jason. And yes, I will put my address in the chat so that you have it if anybody's interested in coming out.
Okay. Penny, you did a fantastic job today. Raise your hand if you got value from Penny's presentation today. You brought a lot of value. You've helped people look at the world differently. We appreciate that, Penny. Going to do just a quick screen share. So we're going to go ahead and end the session in just a moment. And I hope that you'll get back to the landing page and click on my picture to join us for our next networking session where you will be in breakout rooms meeting people that are here today. The other thing that I'll mention is we've got Manesh Boxy's presentation. It'll be our last presentation today, kicking off right at 11 o'clock. And here's what you're going to learn today. Super important that you have a compelling offer in your business that people would feel silly to say no to. So Manesh has an offer for you today. He's going to show you how it's done, helping you get the best referral partners, giving you the best leads. It's going to give you a 20-point checklist for networking and building referrals, including a PDF and a video course. Discover what you need from referral partners to send you the best leads, how to make referral networking partners eager to help you, create a cheat sheet to earn referrals quickly, and then a bonus for people that sign up before the end of ReferralTopia, live 45-minute interactive webinar with him on how to make referral and networking partners eager to refer you their best leads. Value of $475. Manesh is doing this for 27 bucks, people. $27. So I had to be sure that I share that because you can't go to any sort of a networking session or an event without having a great offer given to you. With that being said, Penny, you rocked it out today. If you're looking forward to networking with Penny, meet us at the next networking session. We'll see you there in just a moment.